Now, I want to start off this video by telling you, have you ever fell for a scam? Don't actually feel bad about it, okay? Because what we're looking at today is some pretty intense military-style attacks on people's computers, people's businesses, people's way of life. Now, I want to start this video off with something a little bit goofy-doofy here. This is a interview with Cholima VI. Now, this is from the Bitso Quetzal team, so they actually showcased them capturing a North Korean hacker, a North Korean scammer in style. So to give you an idea, for anybody that doesn't know, in North Korea, there is a huge organization. There's a huge sort of like cyber attacking group out there, Lazarus group. There's just cyber attacking teams up the ass. And a lot of these guys try to get jobs in American companies or companies around the world to steal information from them and make a chunk of money that all goes back to buying filet mignons and Maseratis or whatever the fuck Kim Jong-un actually ends up wanting, right? It's crazy. It's state-sanctioned criminal operations. And I think because they're nuclear armed, nobody's really gonna fuck with them. Unless, of course, they get a little bit too big for their britches, okay? Then at that point, you know, you send the fucking A-team over and put some bullets in people. But that's way, way outside my department. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, according to Bitso Quetzal, this is a man named Jesus Sebastian. Now, this is from Barranquilla, Colombia. Now, if you think that this is a real Colombian individual, then I've got some bridges to sell you, okay? This is kind of like if I started calling myself Michael Roberts. Yeah, I'm Michael Roberts from Iowa, guys. I mean, really? Really now? Are you sure? Dinesh? That's probably the actual normal response to the story, right? Because again, if you have functioning eyeballs, then I don't know how you're going to be falling for this. Anyways, this guy was apparently bouncing from connection to connection, sometimes Asia, sometimes Europe, wherever the VPN may take you, bucko. So again, in order to catch a scammer, the best thing you can do to the North Koreans is just ask them how their days are. So listen to this.
So where are you located?
Well, I'm currently based in Barranquilla.
Sorry?
Barranquilla, Colombia.
Okay,
Barranquilla.
okay, and you're Colombian?
Yeah, Well,
Are you Colombian?
pardon?
Are you from Colombia?
Yeah, I'm Colombian. Well, I'm originally born in Colombia and moved to somewhere and returned to back.
So immediately you can see that our friend Sophia, okay, she's already she didn't even have to use any Jedi mind trickery here. All she had to do was ping location. Hey man, were you from Colombia? And of course our friend here, Jesus, or I don't know, insert random Korean name, probably isn't from there. And she's laughing, we're laughing. He is not laughing because he failed this basic check right over here. So obviously at this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing one can do is look at where they found this individual. And it seems like he did have a LinkedIn, Sebastian Peralta, a software engineer with AI expertise. Barranquilla, Atlántico, Colombia. So of course, if you, again, read through this, the guy's got all this AI slop humor. Look at how funny the humor is, boys. If programmer equals tired, return. Oh, that's so sweet. Turns out the guy wasn't actually somebody that worked for Zemaga or Microsoft or anything. It was apparently a North Korean individual. And of course, when they went down the rabbit hole even further, of course, obviously, they started reaching to Sebastian over on WhatsApp, which at that point, they started adding them onto Discord. And of course, when they found out that on Discord, their account was literally just 13 days old. And if you look at that profile picture, I don't know if you're starting to get GPT eyes like me, but you can just spot text, images, even video, kind of a mile away. You know, a lot of it reminds me of, getting little calls on my phone from time to time or messages like, I got a work opportunity for you. You want to make some easy motherfucking money? And usually it's always no, but, imagine if you're somebody that is kind of desperate for a paycheck, you probably might actually go down the road and accept some of those scammy messages, right? And that's unfortunately where the next part of the story takes us. The kind of people that these individuals really do target. But before we go to that part, I want to kind of cover even more things that have been funny, okay? So to give you an idea, these are a set of images, and you might be like, whoa, this looks like an ID card. Yeah, it is actually an ID card, fabricated through ChatGPT. So for anybody that doesn't know, according to Genians, there is a group called Kimsuki, right? Which is another North Korean hacking group. And what brought them into limelight in the last couple weeks was they tried to do a spear phishing attack, a scam attack, on a South Korean defense-related institution. Yes, the defense groups are getting attacked. And of course, you might be like, what are they using? ChatGPT, generative AIs, to produce sample ID card images, which were all leveraged in these attacks. Now here you can see that they were sending phishing emails from, again, domains such as liveml.cafe24.com. Now, of course, is this a legitimate domain address? No, absolutely not. And it's one of the reasons why I tell you, when you get a shady email that looks even slightly real, I mean, this looks pretty good. Always look at where it was sent from. Sometimes they can get crafty, but most of the times they'll never be able to absolutely pull the wool over your eyes if you're a careful Andy. Now, at some point during their communications, they had sent an image of a government ID badge. And of course, you might be like, well, that looks pretty normal. But of course, the moment you look into the metadata for the badge, you can see that it was made with GPT-4o, OpenAI's API. So yeah, it's just that easy to scam the average person, ladies and gentlemen. It really just is. But by confusing the average person, it then went even further into the story, where again, files were, sort of traded around. They started to look at the pathing for this kind of attack, and it just basically started resembling an actual bit of intrusion. But the ability to phish somebody has gotten substantially easy with time. And Kinsuki is a group actor that targets, again, some of the biggest people: nuclear power operators, think tanks, industry, and the Ministry of Unification for quote-unquote espionage purposes. This quite literally is some of the most insane hacking happening in front of our eyes. And you might be like, well, how are they getting so brazen with their hacks, Muda? Like, how are they faking the stuff so easy? A lot of it is because deep faking has become such an easy thing at this point that it's actually just scary. You know, if you go to one actual repository, Deep Live Cam, this is something that I showcased probably, I want to say, about a year ago now. And of course, this is a real deep live cam. This is the deep fake tool that you can use in real time. So this is an individual who put Elon Musk's face on him, and in real time, through their webcam, is applying that face onto them. And for the most part, to an actual scammer, it might be convincing enough. In fact, it is incredibly easy to set up. Even if you don't want to pay them for the automated compiled version, you can build this with yourself. I've even shown you how to do it using Python 3.11, pip, git, ffmpeg, and God forbid you're using Windows, a few runtime environments, cloning the repository, downloading 2 models, and of course installing dependencies. A lot of the stuff just does it for you in the background. You can literally take a dumpy while your computer is putting together the best deepfake softwares that you can find. So of course, running this is incredibly easy. For instance, just having it built right over here, it's as simple as selecting a face, so I can put Kim Jong-un's face right over here, and of course I can select my face, and as soon as I hit that good old-fashioned start button, ladies and gentlemen, and give it an output path, you can see that very easily it has given me that image. Now, within fractions of a second, it actually ended up giving me the Kim Jong-un face for my channel. Now, you might be like, well, ladies and gentlemen, what are we going to do, Muda? It's getting cooked as a society. This is actually not even the worst that I've seen. There's a lot of people that are actually just recording videos in the manner that I'm doing and using open source, freely available solutions like WAN 2. I forget the exact decimal number, and using it to actually create pretty realistic looking images of completely different people. I mean, the ability to scam an individual or deepfake has become so easy that really, again, I'm not here to make this a tutorial for you. I'm here to raise awareness and tell you that, listen, anything you see on the internet, no matter who it is, you can't believe it unless you see that with your own eyeballs in reality. But if you don't believe me here, just look at what happens with iShowSpeed. He actually showcases him doing this in real time. He's got the same tool that I was using, and he puts KSI's face on. And yes, while it's kind of glitching over here, The coolest part about it is how effective it's working in real time. I mean, he's literally he's literally just deepfaking himself as other people and putting himself on to this like chatterbait style application. Now again, ultimately it takes you to the next aspect of this story, right? Now this year, you may not have heard about it, but a woman from Arizona was sentenced for $17 million information technology worker fraud scheme that generated revenue for North Korea. Now, the reason why I showed you the deepfake stuff too is that this lady probably fell for the same level of deception that I just brought up to you. So an Arizona woman was sentenced today to 102 months in prison for her role in a fraudulent scheme that assisted North Korean IT workers posing as US citizens and residents. And of course, that helped with obtaining remote positions at more than 300 US companies. I mean, that's insanity. Moss ordered Chapman to serve 3 years of supervised release to forfeit $284,552 that was to be paid to the North Koreans, and then to pay a judgment of $176,850. I genuinely do feel really bad for this woman, and the reason why I feel bad for this woman is when you actually listen to what her story is. So CNN made a pretty good write-up about it where they showcase the same technologies that I'm bringing up to you, but they also showcase how often these guys use things like ChatGPT in order to pose as Americans. The ability to scam and spearfish have gotten so easy that anybody with a computer or a GPU can get their hands on easily accessible models and do this shit for themselves in real time. So basically, the scam, as you can imagine, is a North Korean talks to an American who becomes a facilitator. Basically, they are the face of the North Korean. So basically, they apply, they take the money, and then the money they get is then sent off to the North Koreans. They are basically the in-between, because obviously a North Korean can't just easily apply for a US job. They need a face of something. So for a lot of the North Koreans who are actually phishing individuals and like getting into these crazy places, they're using a lot of these AI tools. Now you might be like, well, if they're using things like ChatGPT, Gemini, can't you just like block the country? That's already a thing. They've already blocked these. Dude, North Korea is probably one of the most sanctioned fucking countries in the world next to Russia and Iran. It's not the sanction or the blockage that's going to help them. They have VPNs too, guys. Like, come on now. But even if they didn't have a VPN, having access to just open source models that run locally on your system, you can't take that away. You can't prevent them from downloading a file and putting it through Olama and serving it, right? So for instance, some of the ways that they would use prompts is, for instance, if they wanted to look more human, they would be like, write me a couple sentences to thank the interviewer reiterating my excitement for the job opportunity. Now again, this is an example provided, but let's throw this into a quick AI. So for instance, right over here, we'll drop this in here, boom, boom, boom. And of course, we'll just hit, the good old ChatGPT think. And again, it'll give you the answer. Thank you so much for chatting me today. I'm genuinely excited about the role and can't wait to see how I can contribute. Let me know if you need anything from my side. Again, it's to try and look more human. Now, if you're somebody that has GPT eyes like me, you'll probably look at that and go think, oh, that's a cute little AI. But maybe they'll play around with the prompt a little bit until they have something that fits, right? Now, the reason why I feel bad for this woman in particular that actually ended up going to a prison cell because of this stuff is she really didn't seem to, from my understanding, have an idea. So what would happen is, in order to fit well, and this would be an example of these guys sitting inside, inside an office, quote unquote, right? Like you've got like WhatsApp over there. You've got this guy playing, like it looks to be like an office. It looks to at least be close to matching it. And they've got a clock obviously over the radio where they have to hear from old Kimmy. But then you go down into the situation and the lady that they specifically kind of targeted. So she was somebody that literally was, money wasn't there. And so eventually, she had basically moved into a nicer place. She started talking about work life. She started talking about her clients and everything of that nature. And then it turns out that the clients that she had seems to have been the North Koreans that were using her in order to get this job. And if you looked at these North Koreans, CNN basically geotagged these guys in some of the material that they had posted around or showcased how they lived. They were on fucking yachts, sitting in swimming pools in Laos. I mean, they were living nice. Now, you might be like, are they arrested? Probably not. But then again, you go back to the indictment over here and they actually kind of bring up what happens. So Chapman over here, and this, I feel bad for her, but to give you an idea, it started to get to a point where I think any normal human being should have started, having synapses fired in their head. So for instance, Chapman helped North Korean IT guys get jobs at 309 companies, including Fortune 500 companies. So the impacted companies included a top 5 major news or television network, a Silicon Valley tech company, an aerospace manufacturer, an American car maker, a luxury retail store, and a US media and entertainment company. So some of these things, especially the aerospace manufacturer, would be pretty scary just alone on that. So Chapman operates a laptop farm where she received and hosted computers from the US companies at her home, deceiving the companies into believing that the work was being performed in the United States. Chapman also shipped 49 laptops and other devices supplied by US companies to locations overseas, including multiple shipments to a city in China on the border with North Korea. More than 90 laptops were seized from Chapman's home following the execution of a search warrant. So this would be what the laptop farm would kind of just look like. And this is where, again, like I feel bad for her because obviously she was financially destitute at a point. But, obviously when the money started rolling in and she started to kind of see what you were doing over here, it goes far beyond like just, I didn't know what was going on. No, you kind of have to have an understanding of what's going on. So millions of dollars in income were generated by the scheme, which was falsely reported to the Internal Revenue Service. And I imagine this had a huge thing to make. Remember, crime is fucking, from my understanding, pretty goddamn legal in today's day and age. If you pay the fucking IRS their fair due. If you're not paying the IRS their fair due, suddenly every federal agency becomes fucking efficient. But hey, different story. Chapman received and forged payroll checks in the name of stolen identities used by IT workers. So that alone is a severe no-no. Forget just the technical side of it. This is something that you absolutely deserve to go to jail for. Now, does she deserve to go to jail for 8 to 9 years for it? Honestly, I think she's getting off a little lighter than you would expect. Because to be real with you, what she was doing, if it was any other country, they probably would have just put a fucking round into your head for like espionage reasons, right? But she ends up going to jail for it. She ends up having to give up pretty much, I would say, most of the money that she basically had earned through this, and maybe even more than that. So yeah, ultimately it was a net loss. And really the real winners for this were the North Korean hackers that were using all of these tools in order to siphon millions of dollars and God knows what else out of the country. It is crazy shit. And I really don't even have it against the North Koreans. Every time I make these videos, people think like, oh man, you're starting your shit on North Koreans. Not really that. 99% of North Koreans live in abject fear of their government, okay? It really is just the elite at the top that kind of are an actual criminal operation, like a legitimate criminal op. And it's these organizations that pose a severe threat to the entire world, not just America, not just anything. These people basically, attack and sometimes critical infrastructures that the world sort of relies on. So for me, when I kind of see this shit, it is scary. It is scary in the sense that, it's not just that they're trying to earn money, it's that they're trying to sort of infiltrate into things that we need on a day-to-day basis, right? Even things like communication, things like our power, things like nuclear power, a lot of stuff people need to look into. And really, if cybersecurity, if cyber attacking was treated even somewhat seriously by the government, I think North Korea would probably have been fucking shut down or glassed off the map at this point by an American agency or a likewise agency. And the thing about it is, can you capture these people? No. Just like the lady we looked at earlier, she really wasn't somebody that made a lot of money through this, right? There's drug dealers that get arrested, and usually for them getting arrested is just like part of the job. And really, at the end of the day, she wasn't really somebody that was shuffling money to like an offshore account that she could dip into after she had come out of federal prison. You know what I mean? Like actually make the crime fucking worth it. Now, this woman seemed to be incredibly desperate, right? Really, she was. And she might not have known anything was illegal, but by the time you get to like the laptop farm shit, something's fucking illegal. Simple as that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is wild, right? Through LinkedIn. These North Koreans were crafty enough to get into over 250 companies and do some pretty nasty shit across the board. And even while the judge acknowledged she seemed pretty remorseful, like genuinely remorseful, she still got handed a sentence of 102 months in prison and 36 months of supervised release, simply because this actually threatened the security of the nation. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this is just one of the many ways that these kind of companies are kind of hacking around. North Korea is not just using malware to, not just using AI to write their malware. I mean, they were pretty good at that beforehand. But the AI stuff really has helped them use the human aspect into actually hacking a lot of organizations as well, too. The easy aspect of phishing, the difficulty of phishing and pretending to be an American has sort of just like, been easily like the barrier of entry is just diminished successfully. These guys are sitting around with some of the most easily accessible tools and models, using it on a pretty day-to-day base to infect anyone. So, if you're ever wondering how easy it is for your company to get hacked, just remember, all right, these guys are out there generating the fakest of selfies, the fakest of military IDs, the fakest of fucking emails, all looking pretty decently good because AI's just gotten that crazy. But if you're not paying attention 100%, there's a good chance that you're hiring some of these guys, or there's a good chance you've probably been hacked by these people because they're just that good at it. They were good at the technical stuff, but now they're good at all the social stuff that usually was a huge barrier of entry for them. And look, it's only getting bigger, guys. Like, if you look at the amount of money that has been raised, it just keeps going up year after year after year after year. And it is something to really watch out for. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.